Analyst Brian Sobel joins us now. So, Brian, your first impressions, was there any clear winner tonight?
Well, it was kind of like a sporting event. Not a clear winner. You had a divide between the progressive wing of the party, frankly, and the more moderate wing of the party, and they fought it out.
It did. Did any of the lower polling candidates make a good impression, a breakout moment even for them?
No, I think you were coming pretty quickly towards 4 or 5 candidates. We'll see what happens tomorrow night that will eventually kind of take the message forward for the Democratic Party. What you did see tonight, however, was Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren sort of teaming up a little bit. If you watch some of those cutaways, they were actually talking to each other. And I think the idea is, hey, we've got to move the party to a more progressive stance, which would be the way you would do it in a primary, and then eventually come back in the other direction. But it looked like those two knew they were kind of target-rich tonight, and in fact they were. A lot of the other candidates went after them.
Yeah, you said that you mentioned progressive and moderate. When you mentioned Warren and Sanders, they were next to each other. Did one do better than the other tonight, and how are they impacting the progressive vote? Will one have to go?
Yes, both cannot survive this. One will have to go. I thought Elizabeth Warren had a much better night than Bernie Sanders, and I think most of the people who watched, as we're getting some results in from polling and other sources, pretty much agree she had a good night for her progressive ideas.
The longer those two stay in together, how much does it affect the other candidates?
Well, they are taking up a lot of airtime and space, and it does affect the other people because they don't get the airtime. I mean, there's already complaints about the amount of time each person gets during these forums, these debates, and obviously the camera finds itself on Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders quite often.
Yeah, they said she had the most talking time.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about the moderate side versus the progressive side of this party. Now, moderate John Hickenlooper said tonight that, quote, I think if we're going to force Americans to make radical changes, they're not going to go along. Throw your hands up. Now, he's referencing things like Medicare for All that Senator Bernie Sanders is pushing. Will this lack of cohesiveness be an issue for the party going forward?
Well, I think the Democratic Party would like to see people start coalescing around some themes that they can start pushing out. But now's not the time. I mean, you have this divide. You watched Pete Buttigieg and a judge and other people on that stage saying, hey, we need to be more moderate here, that some of these ideas about free education and immigration where you allow people to just come over the border and a lot of these other things that you heard out of Warren and Sanders were not palatable to the American public, and you heard that over and over. This isn't going to fly. We can't win this way.
Tonight was the first group. The next group goes tomorrow night. What are you expecting to see out of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris?
Well, I think a lot of people are thinking those two are going to have a dust-up. My own view, and I may be wrong, is that they're actually going to kind of avoid each other. They've both got their own campaigns to run. She made her play with Joe Biden in the last debate for him, and Biden says he's going to be a lot tougher this time. I'm not sure they're going to lock up, but they both have to get their word out there, because I think at the end, to Andre's earlier question, I think this is coming down to Biden and Harris and Warren, and maybe pick somebody else, Sanders.
Just before we let go really quickly, who do you see the other candidates tomorrow night going after more, Biden or Harris? I
think this is the time that Kamala Harris has to take some hard questions. So that would be my guess.
Interesting that the progressives tonight were taking center stage, and tomorrow the moderates between Biden and Kamala Harris will be taking.
Well, and Joe Biden really has to come out and put on a strong performance.
All right. Political analyst Brian Sobel, thank you so much.